The 2022 International Chapter Architecture Awards are proudly supported by the Australian Institute of Architects National Corporate Partners, BlueScope and Taubmans, Alspec, Dulux and Brickworks, Bondor, Lysart, Fielders and Bosch, and Planned Cover and Architecture Media.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 2022 Australian International Chapter Architecture Awards. It's great to be back presenting this celebration of the work of Australian architects overseas. We're streaming live today during NAIDOC Week from the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and I'd like to begin by paying respect to elders and community as continuing custodians of their rich cultural heritage. And I extend that respect to all First Nations peoples across Australia. Well, the international chapter of the Australian Institute of Architects includes some 500 members across 36 countries, and today's awards recognise their outstanding contributions through projects that improve the urban fabric of cities and towns, places of work and learning, and of course the public realm. And I'd like to give a big shout out to the members who are watching around the world, and in particular to the party that's happening right now at the Brickworks Design Studio on 5th Avenue in New York. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening there. Well, the projects entered in this year's awards were assessed by the International Chapter Jury. The jury co-chairs were John Chow and Nick Brunsdon, and they were joined by Alice Hampson, Tan Pei Ing and Vince Pirrello. And we'll be hearing from each of the jurors throughout the show. Now, the jury can bestow 3 types of recognition within each award category. Commendations are recognitions of excellence. Awards recognise work that is exemplary in both design and in execution. And the International Chapter Named Awards are the highest honour that can be bestowed within a category. Each of the award and named award recipients today will be considered by the national jury for a National Architecture Award to be announced in early November. And that will include the highest honour for Australian international architecture, the Jorn Utzon Award. So to set the scene, let's take a look at the projects that have received this prestigious award over the years. Well, a fantastic range of Jorn Utzon award-winning projects there. And I'm delighted to be joined now by the International Jury co-chairs, John Chow and Nick Brunsdon, who join me from Hong Kong and Perth, respectively. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Going well, Viv. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. I'm very well, thank you. Excellent. Now, I know it's an early morning where you both are, but great to be able to have a quick chat about the jury process this year. And John, if I can start with you, can you give us a sense of what it was like to be on the jury this year?
Yeah, I think I can speak for all the jurors in saying that it was a really rewarding experience. This year, 3 of the jury, Nick, Alice, and Vince, they were spread across different cities in Australia. Pei was in Malaysia, and I myself am in Hong Kong. Each of us have such different scopes of professional experience, and so each of us were really able to bring something unique to the judging table. Moreover, with the world collectively at different stages of this COVID recovery, I think there was a quick sense of camaraderie. And very early on, we felt there was a shared theme of reconnection, especially as we worked through all the entries and interviewed many of the entrants, many of those of whom were also located around the world, also going through the same sorts of things.
Excellent. And Nick, this year we have entries spread across many different categories. Do you have any overall comments on the entrants this year?
Yes, definitely. Just digitally visiting the thinking and works of a diverse and talented set of Australian architects was just hugely rewarding, and we're really grateful and heartened by the combined excellence of our international group. So I think we're in a period of reconnection and rediscovering what has been lost over these last 2 years, and in that light, it was a really wonderful experience.
Wonderful. And John, we heard in the intro there that the international chapter has some 500 members spread all over the world. I wonder, do you have a message for the members who are watching the stream today?
Yeah, I think it's just just keep doing your thing. I think just keep thinking of representing Australia in the best sort of light, and doing the best sort of architecture. As an architect overseas myself, I think I consistently think of different ways I can contribute back toward the Australian architectural community. I'm also a member of the Australian International Chapter of Architects, and I think just greater involvement and greater collaboration can just bring some really great results to Australian architecture overall.
And Nick, to close, a final question for you, if I can. You're an Australian architect practicing overseas. What kind of qualities do Australian architects bring to the world stage, do you think?
It's hard to generalise, but I think what we noticed in reviewing the entrants and just a general understanding of the way architects work, or Australian architects work overseas, is I think that we consistently punch above our weight. I think that, as a cohort, we really have a great kind of design, methodology and sensibility that I think stems from a really strong appreciation of the places in which we work, and a common thread of sort of working deeply and empathetically in our social, environmental and physical contexts. And I think that kind of feeling and connection to place, and I think kind of situational empathy, I think is something that we really makes us stand out.
Wonderful. Well, John and Nick, thank you so much for joining us this morning, very early your time. Really appreciate you being able to have a chat with us. And on that note, I'll leave you guys to have a fantastic day.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
And now to the first of the announcements, the William J. Mitchell Prize. Named in recognition of the late Bill Mitchell, Horsham-born former Dean of Architecture and Planning at MIT, this prize honours Australians who, like Mitchell, have made a significant contribution to the profession, study or advancement of architecture beyond our shores, often in a sphere of influence running parallel to or in support of usual architectural practice. The biannual prize was first awarded in 2012 by the International Chapter of the Australian Institute of Architects, and recipients have included John Andrews, John Gollings, Haig Beck and Jackie Cooper, Louise Cox, Brian Burr, Liu Tai Kerr and Antonia Syme. The jury consists of the entire International Chapter Council. And so, without any further ado, the 2022 William J. Mitchell Prize is awarded to Felicity Scott. Felicity Scott is a Professor of Architecture at Columbia University's Graduate School of Architecture, Planning and Preservation, Director of the Doctoral Program in Architectural History and Theory, as well as Co-Director of the Program in Critical, Curatorial and Conceptual Practices in Architecture. Her research lies at the nexus of architecture, media, politics and the environment, and has become increasingly important as the profession broadly rethinks its capacity to address climate change, colonial exploitation and racial inequity. Congratulations, Felicity Scott. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined now by Felicity, who's at the party in New York. Felicity, congratulations. Can I ask, how does it feel to receive this prize today?
Just being handed some champagne. I'm totally delighted. I am honored. I'm humbled. It was a terrific surprise, and yeah, I just really can't thank the international chapter enough for thinking of me for this award. I really, really appreciate it. So.
Now, is there anyone that you'd like to acknowledge or reference?
I'd certainly like to thank Grant Morani, who's here, one of the members of the International Chapter, and my colleagues and very good friends, Leah Meisterlin and Mark Wasuda, who've also joined the party here tonight. So I'm very grateful to be celebrating this award with them all here tonight. Thank you. And Brickworks, of course, for hosting.
Indeed. And how is the party going there?
The party is great. I've never been here, I have to admit, into the Brickworks showroom, and it's actually totally extraordinary. Now I feel like I'm doing some PR for them, but yeah, the party is going great. It's the evening here. We can have some champagne. So yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Now, Felicity, as I mentioned in my previous live cross, the members of the International Chapter around the world are watching this stream live. I was wondering, is there anything that you would like to say to the Australian architects across the globe who are watching?
I'd like to say something like, when I first moved to the US decades ago in the early 1990s, it was never my plan to stay in this country, but here I am, and I received a lot of pressure from people like Peter Corrigan and other former teachers to return, and I always had some sort of anxiety about not contributing, and so this award really makes me feel like one can contribute at a distance, and so I'm very, very happy to feel like I still have a lot to give in the Australian context.
Well, you certainly do. And Felicity, any final comments before I let you get back and enjoy that glass of champagne?
Maybe the only other thing to say is that I met Bill Mitchell a number of times when I first arrived in the US. He had just moved from Harvard to MIT, and he remained a legendary character for his teaching on architecture and computation. And I attended a number of his talks. And so I think also it's very gratifying to know that the AIA is celebrating his life and work in this format. I appreciate that.
Oh, indeed. Well, look, congratulations once again, Felicity. Thanks for joining us. And it sounds like the party's underway. You have the champagne, so I'll leave you to have a fantastic night.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And before we move on to the main awards categories, it's my pleasure to hand over to the International Chapter Chair, Samantha Cotterell, who sent through this message.
Good evening. I'm Samantha Cotterell. I'm the President of the International Chapter of the Australian Institute of Architects. It thrills me tonight to be here to welcome all our members to another edition of the Australian Architecture Awards International Chapter. While awards are important in our profession because they showcase our talents and they promote our profession, they showcase the work that we do, I feel that the International Chapter Awards are also celebrating something additional, which is us as Australians, as Australian architects. The work that our members are doing overseas and for which they're awarded is really testimony to our ability to adapt to foreign places, to design in multiple situations, and to contribute to international conversations on global issues. So I look forward tonight to seeing what our members have contributed in this regard. And I want to wish all our members a fantastic evening in celebrating together the achievements of our fellow members. And above all, I want to wish our members who are competing the best of luck. Have a fantastic evening. Good night.
Thanks so much, Samantha. And now on to the first of the main awards categories, Urban Design, with projects in Auckland, Port Moresby and Shanghai. Let's take a look at the nominees. Commercial Bay, Tutoki I Tarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. Force Support Battalion FSB Building Refurbishment by Power Architecture. And Yuandung Bridge by Brearley Architects and Urbanists, BAU. And we have two announcements to make in this category. A commendation for urban design is awarded to Commercial Bay, Tutoki I Tarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. As a development which inadvertently impacts the city due to its scale, the architects of Commercial Bay formed their design around what they identified to be a nexus of historical city axes, juxtaposed atop a major transport infrastructure node. The result was a block-sized retail podium built around an architecture of vibrant laneways, capitalising on the natural flow of pedestrians through the nexus, ultimately blurring the edges of the site and enriching the greater city context. Congratulations to Warren and Marnie, Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. And the highest honour in this category, the International Chapter Named Award for Urban Design, is awarded to Yuandung Bridge by Brearley Architects and Urbanists, BAU. The Yuandung Bridge is a playful, sinuous structure connecting two wetland areas. The bridge allows for cyclists and pedestrians to comfortably coexist in a landscape with sculptures, seating and plazas, elements not commonly found in this typology. The gentle bends and curves of the plan form provide changing and progressive views without ever feeling forced or unnecessary. As an urban element, it is graceful and efficient, providing a necessary connective piece of infrastructure while creating moments of pause, repose and joy. Congratulations, Brearley Architects and Urbanists, BAU.
Hi, my name is Vince Pryor and I'm judging the Australian International 2022 Architectural Awards. Over the last 3 decades, I've lived in 3 countries, America, Australia and Asia, China, and therefore recognise the value of great international work that's delivered by great Australian firms. Next year, ensure that you enter your great projects from all around the world that contribute to creating great culture, great architecture and promote Australian architecture overseas. Thank you.
Thanks for that message, Vince. The next round of entered projects cover 5 categories: educational and interior architecture, residential architecture, multiple housing, and sustainable and commercial architecture. Ranging from China to New Zealand, Malaysia to Bahrain, here are the projects considered by the jury. Tianyu Experimental School by Brearley Architects and Urbanists, BAU. Commercial Bay, Tutoki I Tarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. City of Dreams by CHT Architects. Aldana Amphitheatre by SL Architects, WLL. And Commercial Bay, Tutoki I Tarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. And from the field of 5 entrants, we have 2 announcements ahead. An award for educational architecture goes to Tianyu Experimental School by Brearley Architects and Urbanists, BAU. Breaking away from traditional institutional design, this project allows education space to extend beyond the bounds of a student's home classroom. Pockets of space are cleverly integrated throughout the school's design, providing different modes of interaction and education, while outdoor open fields and grounds provide links with the school structure. Responding to the context of Suzhou, BAU worked closely with a scholar of classical gardens who injected a knowledge of local geometries and motifs, demonstrating that contemporary educational theory can form a synergy with ancient concepts of space. Congratulations once again to the team at Brulee Architects and Urbanists BAU. And the jury have awarded the International Chapter Named Award, the highest honour for commercial architecture to Commercial Bay, Tutoki i Tarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. The unprecedented local scale and position of this landmark project has driven its architects to successfully address a plethora of complex contextual and cultural conditions, whilst setting a benchmark standard for major commercial architecture in New Zealand comparable to world cities. Highly commendable is the design for its retail podium. At the scale of an entire city block, it successfully bleeds into the surrounding urban fabric. Featuring a dynamic mix of overlooking balconies and bridges, forms and mixed massing, the architecture successfully captures the essence of a city street, whilst using a careful curation of locally inspired materials and cultural motifs to unify the architecture and anchor it in Auckland. Congratulations, Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. And I'm delighted to be joined now by David Mann from Warren and Marnie in New Zealand. Congratulations on receiving this award. How does it feel?
Kia ora. It's a great honour. Thank you very much. We'd like to thank the Vision of Precinct, really. It's an amazing accomplishment, and thank you to the Institute for recognising their achievement.
Well, David, we heard there in the jury citation of the extraordinary scale of this project and also its significance for Auckland. Can you give us a quick sense of what it was like to work on?
Well, enduring. It was nearly 9 years in the making, but when you're changing the fundamental city block, it's certainly a time well spent. No, it was an amazing journey and amazing sort of vision from Precinct to really commit to something of such high calibre.
And what are you most proud of having been able to achieve with this project?
I think it is it's the impact it's had on the city. Really, the architecture has enabled so much, around it. It's not just about the building; it's about its connection with the city, with the waterfront, its location right in the heart of Auckland. It really is a great sort of stepping stone for what is becoming a truly international city.
Indeed, and I guess what do you hope the longer-term legacy of it will be? It's been transformative so far, but into the future, what do you hope the long-term impact will be?
I think as we come out of COVID, really, it's going to revitalise that city centre with the retail and the hospitality. But it really is a fulcrum in terms of its location and its connection. And as the city continues to grow in all directions, it just becomes and continues to be the heart of the city.
And David, anyone that you'd like to acknowledge or thank who was involved? This scale of architecture just has so many people. Clearly we have a large team, so I'd like to thank all of them, our partner architects, Woods and NH Architecture, but ultimately the client, really, just for believing in us and giving us such an opportunity to create this. And thanks to all involved. Wonderful. Well, look, thank you very much for joining us today. Great to be able to have a chat about this exceptional project. Congratulations to everyone involved, and I'll leave you to have a great day.
Appreciate that. Kia ora. Ciao.
Hi, I'm Tan Pei Ing, a member of the 2022 International Chapter Architecture Award jury. It is a great honour to be involved in this year's judging and witness some of the great works that are being done by our members internationally. I hope more projects will be submitted by our members for the future awards, as this is one of the best platforms to showcase and promote all your great architecture. And thank you.
Thank you so much for that message, Tan Pei Ing. And now for the final round of announcements, public architecture. Projects located in Bahrain, Dubai and New Zealand were considered by the jury. Let's take a look at the nominees. Aldana Amphitheatre by SL Architects, WLL. Australian Pavilion Expo 2020 by Bureau Probitz. And Commercial Bay Tutoki Itarangi by Warren and Marnie with Woods Bagot and NH Architecture. Well, the jury have awarded a commendation for public architecture to Australian Pavilion Expo 2020 by Bureau Probitz. This project captures the essence of the Australian landscape, culture and society under the key design feature of the cumulus cloud, a natural phenomenon occurring across Australia's diverse landscape. Built as a tectonic structure of varying sized aluminium panels, it hovers over the entry and public forecourt and became one of the key gathering spaces for expo visitors and staff. As night falls, lights illuminate the clouds, creating a dynamic display that evokes an Australian lightning storm. Congratulations, Bureau Probitz.
Hi, I'm Alice Hampson and I come to you from rural Australia. In one manner, community appreciation of architecture is reward enough, and yet there's nothing better than celebrating the Institute's Architecture Awards so we can attest to the profession's inventiveness, imagination, delight, complexity, intelligence, richness, visceral qualities and the delight of Australian architecture. Yes, and that's Australian cattle dogs barking in the background. Good night.
Thanks so much, Alice. And now to the final announcement, the inaugural International Chapter Architecture Medal, the highest honour that can be bestowed in these awards. And it is awarded to Yuandang Bridge by Pirrello Architects and Urbanists, BAU. Yuandang Bridge is at once playful, achingly beautiful and, surprisingly, it astutely interweaves the intimate human scale with the vast seascape. A deft hand is clearly at play, curating each component of the structure, creating a journey that delights in the tactility and materiality of structure itself, while effortlessly focusing the traveller's attention to the majestic water and landscape surrounds. Congratulations once again to Pirrello Architects and Urbanists, BAU. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined now by James Pirrello and the project team. Well, guys, congratulations. The very first time that the International Chapter Medal has been awarded. Firstly, what does it mean to receive this honour?
Oh, that's a huge surprise and huge honour, Viv. The team's really thrilled, but particularly we are. This is Feng Ching, my partner in the endeavour for the last 20 years in Shanghai. Gee, we've got a lot of people to thank, really. I mean, you're only as good as your client, so we were very lucky to have a great, ambitious client there.
Well, look, we heard in the jury citations there, James, that this is very much more than a bridge, and perhaps you can touch on your client here and their objectives, but what did you most hope to achieve here?
Well, I'll go ahead, Chick.
I think we try to program the bridge, so it's not just a pedestrian bridge, but also become a attractive activity place for people to visit and like. So I think that's.
I think our company has always gone by the slogan that program rules, you know, but we obviously enjoy form too. So we try to. I think you know, as Australians, we bring to China, you know, about 50 years of advanced leisure development. So, you know, we can make our work pretty playful and pretty inclusive for old and young. And, you know, that big sculptural element, it's not about just looking good, it's for kids to play on. Yeah.
And absolutely beautiful project images there. Can you give us an idea of how people have responded to this project?
Sorry.
How have people responded to the project?
Oh yeah, it's actually become a very, very popular sightseeing place immediately after it was built, and it was posted a lot on the internet by all sorts of people and kids, and so people really love it. Yeah. And here's our two team. What?
Now, is there anyone that you'd like to particularly acknowledge or thank? You've touched on the client. Anyone else that you'd like to acknowledge?
Yes, well, Huang Fang, the leader of our landscape team, and Berry Pan, they had a large part to do with this project. We're an unusual company because we have landscape architecture and urban design, so that's why we can sort of pull off some of these ambitious programmed projects.
And we're very lucky that we got a very good Chinese steel structure engineer helped us with this bridge, made it really slender and graceful, elegant.
Yes, and let's put a call out to Guo Liesha and Cherry, who worked hard on the project.
We also have half of our team in Shanghai. Yeah.
Well, a big shout out to those guys if they're watching, and congratulations. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to say about this project before I leave you to, no doubt, make some excited phone calls?
Yeah. Oh well. Look. This was a great achievement because the client set out to achieve it in breakneck speed, as often happens in China. Chinese people and builders work incredibly hard. They work through the night. The panel beaters working on that crazy sculptural form. There's a lot of people that work very hard to pull it off.
The whole process from design to construction finished was 4 months.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Well, anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
I don't think so. Just look, thanks a lot. Thanks very much to the
We're
jury.
Very, very happy.
And thanks for their votes and for their contribution of their time. These things only come together because of the generosity of the members.
Wonderful. Well, look, congratulations to you and to everyone involved in the project, and a very well-deserved win for the inaugural International Chapter Medal. On that note, I'll leave you guys to enjoy the rest of your day there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that brings the Australian Institute of Architects International Chapter Awards announcements to a close. I'd like to congratulate all the award recipients and indeed all the award entrants. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to showcase and share the exemplary work of the Institute's members. And I'd also like to give a shout out to award-winning Australian furniture designer Tom Skean, who has kindly supplied the furniture for our set this year. To the members watching around the world, including at the Brickworks viewing party right now in New York, have a great time. Thank you once again for joining me for the International Chapter Architecture Awards. It's been a pleasure to be your host, and to everyone, wherever you may be, have a great day or evening.
The 2022 International Chapter Architecture Awards are proudly supported by the Australian Institute of Architects National Corporate Partners, BlueScope and Taubmans, Alspec, Dulux and Brickworks, Bondor, Lysart, Fielders and Bosch, and Planned Cover and Architecture Media.